All right. So, are you ready to get wild today? Because today we are diving deep into something pretty wild. We're talking about the Sidemen, the YouTube guys.
Yeah.
And their attempt to survive in the forest for like a full 24 hours.
Full 24 hours?
Yeah, full 24 hours.
Yeah.
We're talking no glamping, no nothing.
Wow.
They're building their own shelter, finding their own food, and they've got all these crazy tasks to do too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we've got their YouTube video
Oh, cool.
documenting the whole thing.
Yeah.
And we're going to be breaking down like how their teamwork was, how they show leadership, and maybe even a few meltdowns along the way.
That's always interesting to see.
Yeah, I think there are definitely going to be a few of those.
Mm.
You can't put the Sidemen in the forest and not have a couple meltdowns.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Especially when they're hungry.
Especially when they're hungry. Exactly.
Yeah.
So the video starts, and the Sidemen, they're like entering the forest.
Right.
And right off the bat, you can see like their personality shining through.
I bet.
Harry's like practically skipping. He's saying he's right at home. While some of the others are already freaking out about bugs.
Okay. That makes sense.
So what does that tell you about like the group dynamic? Like right from the get-go?
Well, I think it kind of highlights that, everyone comes in with different comfort levels and experiences, right?
Yeah.
So like Harry's confidence, that might come from like actual outdoor know-how.
Oh.
Which could actually make him a natural leader in this situation.
Oh, that's interesting.
Whereas other Sidemen, maybe not so much.
Yeah, maybe not.
We'll see.
And it becomes pretty clear when they start to like build their shelter.
Oh, yeah.
So they find this clearing.
Yeah.
And immediately Viv's like, we can dry our clothes on that fallen tree over there.
Oh, that's clever.
And then they literally turned into like human lawnmowers to flatten the ground.
Yeah.
To like build their shelter. It's hilarious.
It's resourceful.
It is. It's resourceful, right?
Yeah, they're thinking ahead.
Yeah.
But then Simon throws a wrench in their plans.
Oh, no.
Literally, like a wrench. He introduces Simon's forest shop with this whole list of tasks that they can do to earn tokens.
Yeah.
At the shop.
So this is where I feel like the whole YouTube challenge aspect like really kicks in.
No, for sure.
Because some of the tasks are, kind of straightforward. Like tree identification and things like that.
Right.
But then you have some that are just like out there.
Yeah.
Like carve a message into a tree or take a photo that Simon will find interesting.
Interesting.
So it's all fun and games until you're like desperately trying to barter for a can opener.
Yeah. Or like bug spray.
Or bug spray.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you think about that whole like gamification of survival?
I mean, it's clever. It injects that competition, right? Yeah. And it forces the Sidemen to think about, what to prioritize. Do they want to go for the comfort items now?
Right.
Or do they want to go for the tools that will help them later?
That's a tough choice.
It is a tough choice.
Especially when you're in the wilderness and you don't really know how long you're going to be there.
Yeah, for sure.
And that decision-making gets very real. When Vic climbs a tree to earn them a saw.
Oh, my gosh.
And the guy's scared of bees.
No.
But he goes for it anyway.
Yeah.
What do you make of that? Is he a risk taker? Or is he just trying to, show off for the camera?
Maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Like he knows a saw is a valuable tool.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it also plays into like, his whole YouTube persona.
Totally.
And this is where I think like individual motivation gets all tangled up with what the group needs.
Absolutely.
And it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Definitely.
Especially when the rain hits.
Oh, no.
They are scrambling to waterproof their shelter. They're using ferns. They're trying to buy rain jackets from the shop.
Oh, my God.
It's like watching a real-life survival guide, but way more entertaining.
I bet.
Right? Because you never know what the Sidemen are going to do.
It's unpredictable.
But at least they're adapting, which you said was super important.
Adapting is crucial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then Simon drops another bomb.
He says that the sleeping bags are on an island.
Oh, my gosh.
So now they have to build a raft in the pouring rain.
That's tough.
That is a whole other level of challenge.
Wow.
And I think it's a potential recipe for disaster.
Oh, I can imagine.
Because we know these guys. They've got big personalities. And exhaustion plus stress often equals conflict.
It happens.
Oh, it definitely happens.
Yeah.
So how do you think they're going to handle that whole pressure cooker situation?
We're about to find out, but it's going to be interesting to see how they deal with, the pressure, the frustration, and maybe even some betrayal.
So true.
Because remember, the food situation isn't exactly gourmet.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of food,
Yeah.
they found a box full of burgers.
Burgers.
Burgers and not much else. I'm surprised there hasn't been a mutiny yet.
I'm surprised too. Well, I mean, that lack of variety it plays into the psychological aspect of survival, too.
Right.
It's not just about the calorie.
It's about morale.
Exactly. And speaking of morale,
You are not going to believe what happens when they discover someone's been hoarding snacks.
I cannot wait.
Mm.
We are going to leave them right there, battling the elements, building their very questionable raft,
That's dangerous.
and trying to stay friends.
Oh, boy.
Make sure you stay tuned for part 2, where things get really wild.
Can't wait.
So we left the Sidemen, soggy, hungry, and they were about to face a night in the wilderness.
Oh, man.
And remember, these guys are used to, like, controlled YouTube sets.
Right.
Not exactly roughing it.
Yeah.
So how did they handle that?
Well, not as smoothly as you might think.
I figured.
Yeah. As darkness falls, things get a little tense. They're all crammed into this damp shelter, trying to sleep on the ground. And those sounds of the forest, they're probably like amplified tenfold in their mind.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Especially when it's like pitch black out there.
Yeah.
And you don't know what's out there.
Right, exactly.
And I imagine they're like exhausted from the day,
Mm-hmm.
but also probably wired from all the like events that have happened.
Yeah, adrenaline's pumping.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like a recipe for some interesting behavior.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the prank war kicks in.
Oh, the prank war.
Yeah. Which on the surface, it just seems like typical Sidemen shenanigans.
Right.
Vic's hiding to scare the others. Like, just harmless fun to break the tension.
Yeah.
But pranks can also be a way to, like, assert dominance.
Yeah.
Get a reaction.
Yeah.
Especially when you're in that kind of confined environment.
For sure. For sure.
And it escalates pretty quickly. Someone shines a light in their faces,
Yeah.
waking everyone up.
Oh, no.
Not cool.
Not cool.
But then it takes a turn for the worse.
Yeah.
Someone throws a whole bag of snacks into the lake.
What?
Sabotage.
Sabotage. That's brutal.
So we don't know who did it at this point in the video.
Right.
But, like, think about the psychology here. Resources are scarce. They're all hungry.
Mm.
And someone decides to just, like, deprive the group
Yeah.
out of spite or maybe just for a laugh.
Yeah.
Shows you how quickly things can unravel when those survival instincts start to kick in.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I'm genuinely curious. What would you have done in that situation?
Oh, gosh.
Let's say you're one of the Sidemen, sleep-deprived, hungry, and someone just chucked your precious snacks into a lake.
Honestly, I would probably lose it.
Yeah?
I'd be so mad. But I think that's the point, right?
Yeah.
This challenge is exposing those, like, raw reactions.
Yeah.
And we see it again the next morning when they discover that their shelter is basically wrecked thanks to the wind and the rain.
Oh, no.
That hard work
Gone.
down the drain.
It's like one thing after another for these guys.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they're starving. Those burgers are long gone.
Yeah.
All they have left are sausages.
Sausages.
But of course, there's a catch.
There's always a catch.
Always a catch. They need fire to cook the sausages.
Of course.
And starting a fire in a damp forest after a night of rain.
Yeah.
It's like survival 101 stuff.
Yeah, not easy.
And it's not easy. So this is where I think we really see their teamwork or lack thereof come into play again.
I agree.
Because they could just give up at this point.
Yeah.
Just be like, it's impossible.
Totally.
Call it quits.
Yeah.
But they don't.
They're troopers.
They actually like work together. They gather dry tinder. And eventually they get that fire going.
Wow.
It's a small victory.
It is.
But it feels huge in this context.
Absolutely. It shows that they haven't completely fallen apart as a group.
Yeah.
That shared accomplishment. Even something as basic as cooking sausages, it can really boost morale.
Right.
And remind them that, they're in this together.
Yeah. They're a team.
Exactly.
But don't think for a second that things are going to calm down from here. Simon's got one final challenge up his sleeve.
Oh, no. What is it?
And it might just be the most difficult one yet.
Oh, wow.
This is where I think all their previous experiences, the successes, the failures, the conflicts,
Yeah.
I think it all comes to a head.
It all comes together.
They've learned about shelter food teamwork,
Right.
but have they learned enough to survive Simon's final test?
We will find out.
All right, we are back for the final stretch of the Sidemen's 24-hour forest survival challenge. Here we go. They have battled the elements, they've battled each other,
Right.
and they've battled some questionable food choices.
Yeah.
They're facing those last few hours with the mix of, exhaustion, anticipation,
Yeah.
and probably just a deep longing for a hot shower.
I bet.
But before they can escape back to civilization, Simon has one final test up his sleeve.
Of course he does. It wouldn't be a Sidemen video without a final twist.
It really wouldn't. And remember, this is Simon we're talking about, the mastermind behind some truly outlandish YouTube challenges.
Oh, yeah.
So it's bound to be interesting.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
Okay. So picture this. They have to pack up all their gear, dismantle their shelter, and leave the campsite exactly as they found it.
Okay. Sounds simple enough.
Right. Sounds pretty straightforward.
Except?
They have to do it all in complete silence.
What?
Not a single word. Not a groan. Not a sigh.
Oh my God. Are you serious?
I am serious, which for the Sidemen is like ask a fish not to swim.
It's impossible. It's impossible.
It is brilliant, though. You can practically see the frustration building as they're trying to, like, communicate through hand signals.
I bet.
And, like, exaggerated facial expressions.
Oh, that's hilarious.
At one point, Vic is trying to mime take down the tarp, and it looks like he's inventing a new dance move.
That's amazing.
But somehow, they manage to pull it off.
They do.
And I think that's a big takeaway here.
What is it?
They learn to adapt.
Yeah.
They learn to work together. Even when their usual, like, communication style is totally taken away.
It's true.
It's almost like a metaphor for life, right?
Right.
Sometimes you have to find a way to get your point across without relying on words.
Totally.
And sometimes you just have to laugh at the absurdity of it all.
Which is exactly what the Sidemen do.
Yeah. They're really good at that.
They are. Humor is like their coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Their way of bonding. And it's what gets them through this final challenge.
It makes sense.
They might be exhausted. They might be like totally covered in mud. But they emerge from that forest with a sense of accomplishment.
Having proven that they can handle more than just online pranks and video game streams.
That's so true. I think this whole experience really pushed them outside of their comfort zone.
Or for sure.
Yeah.
And as a reward for all their efforts, Simon surprises them with a feast.
A feast.
Of fresh food.
What?
No more burgers. No more sausages.
Oh my God.
That's a really touching gesture.
It is.
And it shows that even Simon, the mischievous mastermind,
Right.
recognizes, their resilience and their growth throughout this whole experience.
Yeah, for sure. He put them through the ringer, but they came out stronger.
Exactly.
Yippee.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm wondering, what's like the biggest takeaway for you? What surprised you the most about the Sidemen's journey into the wilderness?
For me, it's that reminder that even in a group that's known for their online personas and their chaotic energy,
Right.
there's this core of resilience,
Yeah.
adaptability, and genuine camaraderie.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
They might not be survival experts, but they proved that they can step up to a challenge, support each other, and find humor even in the most, unexpected places.
That's so true.
Yeah.
And that's a valuable lesson, I think,
Yeah.
for them and for us.
Absolutely.
So the next time you're facing a challenge, remember the Sidemen. Remember to adapt. Remember to communicate. Remember to find the humor. And most importantly, remember to lean on those around you.
That's great advice.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It was my pleasure.
Until next time, stay
Yeah,
curious,
actually-
stay adventurous, and maybe try building a shelter in your backyard.
But bring bug spray.